Welcome, mental fitness friends, to the Mental Fitness Minute podcast with me, Scott Mickish. This podcast is sponsored in part by Mental Fitness for All, a 501c3 partner program of 40 Fit Mental Fitness, providing free and reduced-cost mental fitness training for income-eligible individuals and organizations. For more information or to donate, visit mentalfitnessforall.org. That's mentalfitnessforall with the number 4.org.
Today we're going to dive into the mental flexibility practice of courage and curiosity.
What does courage mean to you?
Are you curious why curiosity is an important part of courage?
While courage is often defined as taking action in the face of fear, it's really much more than that. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is calmly stand your ground or calmly walk away to better manage your fear and stress response, rather than letting your fear and stress response control you. Courage isn't just fighting instead of fleeing or freezing, or attacking what or who you fear impulsively with that rush of cortisol and adrenaline triggered by your amygdala. Courage is your ability to be aware of your feelings, to navigate them in a healthful way, to not react impulsively, driven by your amygdala, but responding in a healthful way that achieves a healthful outcome, driven by your prefrontal cortex. For example, which do you consider more courageous? Impulsively kicking a dog that growls at you because you're afraid of it? Or choosing to work at an animal shelter to overcome your fear of dogs? Whatever you fear, courage is your ability to use the power of your conscious mind to navigate your unconscious stress response in the heat of the moment. That requires conscious effort and practice. Understanding your fears and what drives them is an important mental fitness exercise to help you feel and do your best. It's also probably one of the most uncomfortable, since it pokes the bear in your brain that is your amygdala. We sometimes call it, quote-unquote, hot-headed when our amygdala is triggered and drives our behavior, or quote-unquote, cool-headed when the prefrontal cortex is engaged to calm our unconscious stress response. The practice of courage can be harder for some than others depending on brain health, experience, and neurological state. You deserve to feel and do your best as much as anyone else, even when how you feel and what you can do might differ. We are all born with needs that continue through life, including adequate time, care, safety, and nutrition, from the moment we are conceived until our dying day. That requires adequate resources and support along the way. If you feel you're not happy enough, tall enough, thin enough, funny enough, sexy enough, sensitive enough, tough enough, strong enough, successful enough, rich enough, white enough, black enough, masculine enough, feminine enough, or whatever other value judgment we place on ourselves and each other that trigger our unconscious stress response, the most important lesson to learn is that you are enough, no matter what. Staying away from what you are afraid of may be the most healthful response in the short term, but in the long term, when those fears become debilitating and prevent you from living your best life, facing your fears when you are able and ready may be the only way to learn, grow, and thrive. Fear tactics are often used to inhibit the higher powers of your prefrontal cortex by continuously triggering your unconscious stress response to influence your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Practicing courage by consciously navigating your unconscious stress response is a helpful way to build resilience against these manipulative fear factors. One of the biggest challenges is realizing what kind of support you need when you need it, and having the courage to seek it, ask for it, and find it. Knowing who and how to ask is the real trick. If you have a goal, share it with others. Tell those who will encourage and support you, to help you maintain your hope and motivation. As kids, we're dreamers and doers, and the future is full of opportunity. We find motivation in all that is fun, mysterious, and challenging, especially when we receive praise for trying. It's only when the reward of trying wears off that we only find pleasure in the reward of succeeding or winning that changes us in two ways. We feel motivated when we perceive a chance of success or winning, and unmotivated when we don't, reinforcing our fear of failure when we no longer allow ourselves to learn through trial and error. We're often taught that, quote-unquote, curiosity killed the cat in an attempt to discourage questions and curiosity, when it's really ignorance that killed that cat, because it didn't know better. In this regard, curiosity is a form of courage. Curiosity leads to learning, that leads to knowledge, which leads to the wisdom of knowing better. That can also reduce fear, stress, and biases driven by the amygdala, by promoting critical thinking and problem solving driven by the prefrontal cortex. Curiosity can actually promote safety, healing, and well-being by promoting learning and comprehension, and reducing our unconscious fear and stress response that can get in the way. In reality, ignorance is not bliss when we don't know better, and our unconscious stress response makes us too afraid to learn or explore, or experience something new that can help us grow, heal, and thrive. So for your own health and well-being, stay curious. Thank you for joining me today. Look for me on social media. I am typically on Instagram and LinkedIn. You can also visit 4dfit.net. That's .net, N-E-T. Or again, on most social media platforms, you can look for me, Scott Mickish, or 4DFit, Mental Fitness. And my book called My Brain Can't Poop, A Mental Fitness Guide for Humans. That is available on Amazon in print and ebook format. It's also available on most podcast platforms. And I look forward to talking to you next time.